Um, so people don't get divorced again because they stop loving themselves. It's just because they don't understand themselves and they don't know how to live together, right? So that's what we're talking about here. How do you live together? So the next few slides here, we're just going to share different money imprints that we all uh, imbibe, right, by our origin, upbringing, community, society, right? So you need to understand which one is yours, right? Which one is your spouse, and be able to use the strengths of each and walk again and try to cover the weaknesses of each, right? None of the money imprints is better than the other. They are all equally good, and they're only tendencies. We're not slaves to our money imprints. We can live above our money imprints. Our money imprint is just a tendency, right? A tendency, default setting in us as a reason of our origin, our upbringing, right? But we're not prisoners to it, right? We can, by reason of better judgment, live above it, right? So it's just what is imprinted, stored in our subconscious mind, right? That we can always override the autopilot if we think that there's a better judgment than what the autopilot is trying to do, right? So the first one on the list of the, we're going to talk about 8 money archetypes here, money imprints. So the first one is a saver. I think I'm a saver. It's so easy to associate with a saver. And you'll also find that some people are not necessarily one as against the other. You could have a combination of this. It's just one of them will typically stand head and shoulder above the other. And I think for me as a person, the saver is what stands out for me, because it makes a lot of difference for me what's in my bank account. That is my money imprint. That's my archetype, right? I can live above it because I know better. But if I don't think, just in autopilot mode, I'm a saver, right? And who's a saver, right? It's just someone that gives high credence to saving money, putting money aside. You see that you kind of get your security from how much money you put aside, right? And you believe that you need to live within your means and not above your means. You don't take unnecessary risk, right? You have a emotional connection to your financial experience. And I do. I've had two 2-year spells of depression just because I had money issues, right? So I come from a place where my emotions are very much tied to my financial experience. That's a weakness for me. But I've been at 4 years of depression already. I don't plan to have any more, right? So irrespective of what happens to me today, I'm higher than that. I'm higher than that because I've discovered what my weakness is. So I do everything to live above it now. But either told that's where it used to be, right? And I've had 4 years of depression to talk about that. The demons around here, it's you tend to want to be frugal, maybe hoard money. You're not that given to just outright spending, right? The angel along that is being self-sufficient and not having to borrow money, and so there's a strength and weakness. The strength is you're able to keep also because you pay the price so much to keep. Sometimes you tend to go the other extreme, extravagant, right? But key thing is understanding yourself and being able to walk against your weakness. It's more like it's not being overly saving or overly spending. It's finding that middle place. Don't forget the devil is in the adverb, right? The devil is in the adverb, whether too much saving or too less saving. It's getting the right balance, right? Being able to live a good life, and yet be able to save something for tomorrow. All right, the next archetype after the saver is the pleasure seeker, or what you might call the fool, because all this thing's thinking about is pleasure. It's the adrenaline, it's getting the high, right? So generally they're looking for immediate pleasure, immediate reaction, immediate reward. That's the pleasure seeker, right? They are risk takers, they're gamblers, so they're in for the sport of the moment. I am not a pleasure seeker. I love pleasure, but I'm not the big risk taker, right? I am an analyst. I'm gonna put the pen to paper, right? That's where I used to be. But then then my strength became my weakness also. So I had to move a bit away from too much of that. And I do put money in the market rather than spending too much time doing paper money. So, but I'm still very cautious. I'm not one that's going to throw caution into the wind, in doing things like that. But the people that are different and they're more given to gambling, right? It's neither good nor bad. It's just being able to understand your tendency and be able to know when to take risk, learn from each mistake, and grow, right? The third money archetype we have is the star, or the warrior, or the celebrity, or what we call the inner big star. This is more like, as the word says, a celebrity. Not just the pleasure seeker, but just needs that sense of importance, right, to itself. So it's all out there to conquer money issues, to be successful, runs after their goals. They're in-depth investors, they focus, they're decisive, and they feel in control, right? They're on top of their business, as it were, right? The demons around that is they could be pretentious, right? When things are going bad, they're not going to necessarily show it to everybody because looking good is important to them. Looking good. They spend a lot of money, to look good. They want that sense of importance to themselves. All right. Good things around that. This become natural leaders. They're risk takers, decision makers, and team builders. Right. Those come easily to them. Right. The fourth archetype is what we call the idealist or the alchemist. Right. This one's the ideal in every sense, right? They tend to help solve big issues. They're into the ideal world. They idealize things, right? So they're all about doing things that will help the society, that will help one cause or the other. They're pretty much those that are more. They're looking out for others more than they look out for themselves, right? They don't necessarily see having money as necessarily a good thing, but rather as using money to help others or to meet one cause or the other, right? Problem with that is that sometimes they have insecurities that come from accumulation of money or having to depend on other people, right? So they could be so spent out there that they have nothing for themselves, right? But the good thing around it is because of where they put their priorities, they have a sense of feelings of freedom and happiness because they're not necessarily tying themselves down to temporal things,